I want to say a few words because you're not allowed to have music in these 3 weeks, from last week, on the 17th of Tammuz, of the Hebrew month of Tammuz, and Tisha B'Av is a kind of a low period, a sad period for our Jewish people. And it's called Ben HaMitzarim, the straits, like the straits of Tiran, Sharm el-Sheikh, the Gibraltar, and the straits, the Mitzarim, Mitzrayim. Egypt is in Hebrew Mitzrayim. And also, the portion of this week is Mas'eh, the last chapter in the book of Numbers. Mas'eh. Masa'ot means journey, and it counts the journeys of the Hebrews, of our ancestors through the desert to the promised land. So, we've been Ben HaMitzarim, in the strait, getting out of a period of individual life that these two beautiful people had until now, and the journey towards a very beautiful future. The reason we don't have music, of course, I explained, but the music radiates in our hearts in any case now, and our inner music is loud enough for Hope and myself and our children and our grandchildren, which are not here, unfortunately. Or fortunately. So let me begin by saying a few thoughts and leave you with some thought, because in Jewish circles, when engagement or betrothal takes place, then we call the evening a vort, in Yiddish a word of Torah and a little bit of study. But I won't bother you too much, just a little bit of clarification. The period that we call Erusin changes a couple interpersonal status. Nisuim or Kiddushin brings a legal consequence to the change of that status. And so, in Talmudic times, the betrothal party, or the engagement, or the commitment, or the vows of the bride to the groom, and the groom to the bride, was separate ceremonies. But since the Middle Ages, the ceremony of Irusin, which is an engagement, is part of the actual ceremony. I just did another wedding this afternoon, somewhere out near Markham, and of course we do the Erusin, and within 5 minutes or within 3 minutes, depending on the rabbi's speech, we are into the Kiddushin, into the sanctification. Of course, there were other reasons of why, unfortunately, the betrothal and the Erusin and Nisuim occurred together, especially in the time of the Shoah. There was no time to have these long parties or these long periods, but Talmudic times tell us that there was a year and 1 day, which is a legitimate time between, and all that time was to prepare, first of all, to count the dowry, which we don't talk about that these days, and also for the bride and the groom to get to know each other. In most cultures, the period of betrothal or promise or vows to each other changes within each cultural behavior, but a lot of the other cultures took from Judaism the practice of waiting a little bit. Of course, adults can have a betrothal period for 5 minutes and decide to get married right away. But I want to make it short, so I'm cutting my.
You'll email us.
A second. So just
Don't go there.
by the way, all I learned about Erusin and Nisuim is on Google. Not that I learned at the yeshiva, because we're still longer. Just Erusin, E-R, and you find it. But I want to leave you with two thoughts, which really is not my business, but I've heard many years of rabbis talk about, at weddings, and here's it is. The connection and the brit and the covenant of a young couple is to my thinking the same notion of when we put on our tefillin and we cover the finger after we make 7 rounds on the arm, and then we write Shin Dalet Yun, Shaddai, God's name, but while we put it on our middle finger, we say a verse from the book of Isaiah Yeshayahu, Ve'erastich li le'olam, ve'erastich li betzedek u'b'mishpat, v'chesed u'berachamim, ve'erastich li be'emunah, ve'yadata et Hashem, et Adonai. Of course, when I teach my kids in our synagogue, for some of you who don't believe that there is tefillin at Holy Blossom, there is. And they cannot say Ve'erastich li le'olam ve'erastich. So I just say Ve'erastich, Ve'erastich, Ve'erastich. 3 times Ve'erastich, it's also good. But what does it mean? I will betroth you to me forever, le'olam. I will betroth you to me bechesed u'berachamim, in mercy and in justice. And the most important, Ve'erastich li be'emunah, and I will betroth you to me in faithfulness. Now this brit between us and the Kadosh Baruch Hu is when we put on tefillin. But I think that this is a two-way street, that the Almighty Hashem, wherever He is, wants us down on earth to be kind to each other. And from what Ernest doesn't believe me, but I know him from way, way back then. But for what I've seen in the last couple of weeks, Ernest treats Shira with a lot of respect, with a lot of love, with a lot of maturity, and most important, I believe that there is emunah. Now, emunah, faith, is on different level. It means different to each individual differently. But also, I've heard it from my old mentor, my rabbi in Philadelphia, may he rest in peace. From many weddings, he always used to say, listen to this. The word ish is aleph yud shin. The word isha, woman, is aleph yud shin hey. Yud and hey is Hashem, God's name. So the Talmud tells us, ish v'isha zachu, shchina shruya b'nehem. Ish v'isha zachu, if a man and a woman have privileged, because God dwells in their midst, then they see the Zohar, or whatever the Zohar, the sparklings, and the beauty of nature. Because without Yud and Hey, the spelling is Esh. Esh is fire. And Esh is dangerous, especially when it's a strange Esh. So between the kesher of tefillin that binds us as one people, and between the saying that our sages have taught us, Ish v'isha zachu, I hope that whoever rabbi does the wedding will not repeat that drash. I will let him. I will tell him before what are you going to say. I just wanted to leave you with that thought of the kesher tefillin is the kesher not only between us and God and the Almighty, but also between each other and respect for human being kindness. And then the Shekhinah will dwell in their home and in our home, and we should all see. You want to say something, Hope, or you want me to shut up? She wants me to cut. Anyway, this was the formal few words. Ernest is a beautiful young man, and Shira is a beautiful young woman, and they got together. Bashert is Bashert, and we all surrounding you both with love and affection, and we wish you everything that you wish for yourself and more. Amen.